Good morning. It is, well, it's morning for me at the time of recording this, but anyway. Um, this video is going to be I'm going to try and do like a sort of comprehensive guide on Enter the Matrix speedrunning for both Niobe and Ghost, and we're going to be touching on all levels here. So, we're going to be starting with Niobe all levels, because I feel like that's probably the one most people are going to be wanting to learn first, maybe, because her runs are just very simply faster, just due to how the levels are. And, yeah, let's just get into it. So the primary categories are done on the easy difficulty because, I mean, you're not going to be dying within 3 seconds as soon as you show your face around the corner, and then you're also able to pretty quickly kill the enemies yourself. So there is an auto splitter for this game on the PC version. I don't think it matters if you're using the CD or DVD copies of the game. I'm pretty sure it works pretty universally, thankfully. So the way you get it to work is you start the timer basically as soon as you hit to confirm to overwrite a save, or as soon as you actually enter the game, basically. And yeah, you can probably glean from my runs or whatever, where there are what I refer to as auto splitter moments, where it's the auto splitter will split at a point where it's kind of not supposed to. But anyway, yeah, we'll just get into it now. So for closing time, what I like to do is I like to pull out my gun, which alerts everybody, and that includes this guy in here, thankfully. You don't really need to do a whole lot with that guy in particular, but if you'll just bear with me for a second, I do need to change my thingy. There we go. Okay. Alright, so that was a bit of a false start, but we're getting there. Okay. So timing would start, yeah, you just hit the start as soon as you hit overwrite there. You just want to immediately run forward. Once you get past that table, you pull out your gun, and then that alerts the security guards. I just like to throw that guy by doing right click and left click at the same time. You typically want to not save your progress, because that does make things take a little bit longer. But if it's if you're just doing your first runs, it doesn't really matter too much, because it doesn't take too long, but it does take a little bit of extra time. So just keep that in mind if you're looking to optimize your times. I know we're going through a bunch of false starts, but yeah, there are other ways to complete closing time, but that one I found has been simply the fastest. And it's also kind of the easiest, really. As soon as you get past the that last table here, just pull out your gun, flash it, and then put it back. You don't want to have your weapons out very often, if you can help it, because that does slow down your run speed. I also like to stand pretty much close to that door. That seems to affect where that the security guard behind the door will end up being. If you're a little bit further away from the door, he'll be immediately behind it. But if you're as close to it as I was, then yeah, it doesn't seem to be immediately right next to the door. Or behind it, rather. So behind the scenes, the path I like to take is just it's relatively straightforward. There's not really a whole lot to talk about in this level.
What did you get today?
What do you got in yours? But, yeah, these guys will try to punch you. It does slow you down a little bit, but, yeah, you just gotta kind of push through it sometimes. Here you want to do a right click to break the jump kick through that glass. Then you need to push that button to open that loading bay door, basically, I guess. Okay, so if I see that one guy, like either immediately already like on the way to that other room, or if I see him like as I'm turning the corner and he's like coming through this area over here, like where the 3 guards there are, I like to go this way. But if not, I usually take a left, so that way I'm not interrupted by that guy as he's coming at me. It's fairly even. It kind of depends on, like, you know, how well I've been moving there. There is some amount of randomness to, like, where exactly each of these security guards will be and how they'll behave, but it's mostly consistent. You just kind of have to be able to adapt a little bit sometimes. I'm sure that goes, I mean, obviously that goes for just about any speedrun. So, right here actually is our very first like bit of optimization that we do. Let me actually, pull up my practice saves here. Whoa, I didn't. Oh no, I don't have my practice saves anymore. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, well, I didn't realize I overwrote that one. Okay, well, guess we're doing it live. Oh well.
What did you get today?
Yeah. Basically, you just, as long as you know where you're going, you want to take the most direct path that you can and try not to deviate from it. Maybe try and duck and weave around the, well, I mean, duck, quote unquote, and weave around the enemies as they try to like hit you and slow you down. Just a tiny little bit. Okay, so he was already there, so we can go ahead and go right here.
Security!
Also, this guide can mostly be fairly applicable to console versions, minus the fact that I'm playing on the 1.2 patch, which you can download from speedrun.com. So here, again, the first bit of optimization that we do. So the thing that we want to do here is referred to as a focus high jump, so that we can minimize the amount of time that we spend climbing. The idea with focus high jumps is that you basically need to hit focus, jump, and be running, and also press focus and jump at the same time, and you'll gain a little bit of extra height from it. I am not perfect at it, trust me, but it's vital to the very first skip that is typically done in runs. So as soon, you want to make sure that you grab that SMG 9mm right there, off that table. That's the gun on the very right. And then this is box skip, if I can do it right. I didn't get enough height there, so it can also help to change your key bindings around a little bit. And if you need to, also feel free to dispatch any of the guys who are like trying to mess you up a little bit. But the premise there is you want to grab the the ledge there. You can do this with Niobe, but you can't do it with Ghost, and I'll show that off a little bit later. But the alternative, if you're not feeling quite like doing that, is you can get up on that small box there, although that does require it to not have been knocked down. And unfortunately, like, if you end up killing the guard that's right next to it, he can sometimes just fall right into it and knock the box over and completely, like, eliminate the possibility of you ever being able to do that in that attempt. Otherwise, you can just go through the rest of that level as intended.
Suspect located.
Where you either do like you do like a regular focus jump, or you could also do what's referred to as a focus long jump, where you jump first and then you hold focus, or you even like jump and you flash focus, so you're not like stuck in bullet time the entire time. But yeah, focus is pretty vital for the whole run. Oh, right. Need to go back. Let's go back a little bit here. So basically, I like to try to do the focus high jump like as soon as I'm past that shadow. If you do it right, you only have to like do like 2 shimmies as Niobe, maybe 3 as Ghost. I'm not, yeah. Either way, as long as you're minimizing the amount of time that you're shimmying up the fence there, then you're good to go. And then here you want to take a left with Niobe and then go over here. Obviously, maybe. Here you want to pull out your gun, like kind of go like strafe to the left a little bit, but don't be afraid to turn the camera a little bit more. So, it's the introduction to combat, so you can actually tap focus, and then using that, it kind of does like an aimbot thing. And it also like, it can, with that gun in like in these instances, it'll actually let you one tap these guys. Here I like to jump into the door and then use the interact key or whatever. 2, 3, 4. You kind of want to just follow the path that I'm taking here, more or less. Oh, really unfortunate that there were no guys spawning in there. I've lost count. I think that's like 7, 8, 9. Okay, good. That's good RNG. So basically, the amount of guards that you need to kill there is dependent on RNG. For Niobe, I think it can take like 9 or between 9 and 12 kills. For Ghost, I think I've had it like between 10 and 13 usually. But we'll get to Ghost when we get to him. I like to jump a little bit to the angle my jump a little bit to the right there, just so I minimize the amount of like the amount of time I do not running. And then here you basically just follow this path that I'm following. You don't need to concern yourself with the guys that are shooting at you unless you're playing on a harder difficulty, but that's not what this guide is touching on at all. So sometimes that guy will just block you off, but I also like to just like stick to the left there. I'd like to also do a focus jump there. Doesn't need to be a focus high jump at all. And you can just jump over those guys, which is actually a very useful thing for some instances as well, because like, I'm not sure if it's faster to kill them or just like jump over them. It's definitely not faster to try and just brute force run your way through them, but yeah. Here I like to strafe my way over to here just so I make sure I get the faster door opening animation. And then I like to try and kind of sort of hop onto those cubicles there. And while I'm doing that, usually I try to hug the wall as best as I can. Oh, right. I have the splits here, and I was supposed to be using them to show like which level we're on. I'm going to be doing that, trying to do that now for the rest of the guide, but Yeah, I might forget at times, so sorry. Alright, city driving. So yeah, we're driving really fast because of the 1.2 patch, which again you can find on speedrun.com. And it also like lets you be able to run the game without the disc, which is really, really handy. Oh gosh.
They're right behind you.
Yeah, this whole like section can get very chaotic really, really quickly. Especially with the 1.2 patch. Something I will recommend against is using mouse steering, because I personally really don't like it, but I mean, if you are more comfortable with it, I guess feel free to use it. And then once you get to the point where Spark says that the blockade is here, you have like two options. You can either wedge yourself in this little alcove here, or if push comes to shove, and it usually, it typically can for me, and I don't know, but you'll also want to be able to make sure you're not actually stuck here, so. Yeah, basically be ready to, like, bail yourself out at a moment's notice. We don't seem to be taking too much damage at the moment, so we're probably fine. But yeah, this is basically just waiting for 2 minutes either way, or, you know, killing time for 2 minutes, killing 2 minutes. Ghost, what are you shooting at? Okay, we're pretty close to being able to leave now, but a good indicator for how much time you have left to wait is these red and green lights. Each one goes green after 20 seconds, I believe, so that's also a decent indicator of like how much longer you need to wait. So if you're like seeing that second to last one turning green, then you basically just have like 20 more seconds to wait. The best way I found to avoid the slowdown, like the forced slowdown here, is to just not jump here, but instead jump about, no, not there. There. That can be a bit tricky sometimes, trust me. There are times where I still end up accidentally falling to a very early death in the run. But, yeah. There you don't need to do any sort of focus there, you can just do a regular jump there. And then I like to just keep things simple. There are other methods that you can do, which I know Thursday's guide covers a little bit. But I don't really think that they save all that much time, if any. I don't know, I'm personally a fan of the idea of keep it simple. Oh, right, so that was me doing some focus pumping to extend my jump a bit. But if for any reason you don't make that particular jump, let's say you like maybe don't quite even accomplish that, or you fall off there, something that you can do is just go over here, get up onto this box, grab that ledge, and then to cut on your ladder climbing, you can just jump from there as well. And then, if you're doing this on console, usually I'd suggest going, running to where that agent is. but if you're like on PC or on PS2 even, you can just take that immediate left and avoid even letting him spawn in. On some stairs it's also faster to jump. Do little bunny hops, I guess. It saves a marginal amount of time. Okay, so check-in is really easy. You just want to jump over this that little barrier there, and then just get into that little baggage thingy. I don't know the word for it. There's probably a good word for it that I'm blanking on. And now we come up to the belt. Oh, right. Once you don't even need to open the door by pushing the buttons. You can actually just run up to the door and then hit the interact key. And then you also don't even need to, you also don't even need to do the thing that I was doing where you once you open the first door, you can just run straight through, and the second one will automatically open. So me pressing F didn't do anything at that point. Case in point, here you go.
Turn. Please, don't
Yeah,
shoot.
and then I like to just do a focus jump over that railing there, and then I like to throw that guy just because it seems to just work best for me. You can also just straight up shoot him. You want to also do a little focus pumping as you're running through that other door, because for some reason it'll just keep the door open for a little bit longer, I guess. And then those guys have some shotguns, and they can definitely chunk you a little bit. If you're feeling unsafe, you can definitely do some focus pumping there. But yeah. Jackson in Steam is a very easy level to get lost in. But the route that I use, you also want to make sure that you stop running there, and I'll actually go ahead and show you why if you don't know already. If maybe you were just seeing the run and thinking, this looks fun. I could play this game. Yeah, if you don't stop when they start shooting at that tank, that happens. And the game is very, very, it's kind enough to tell you what you did wrong. If you do that. So, yeah. Just stop for like a second, and then you're good. Or not even a whole second, just like a fraction of a second, and then you're good to go. Focus pumping here can be pretty useful too. I can also sometimes sometimes they can also just shoot the canisters anyway and catch you randomly. It doesn't happen very often, but it is something that can happen. So just do be aware of that being a thing. There's going to be enemies spawning, usually to the left there. Sometimes, I'm not sure what causes enemies not to spawn, but sometimes you can get lucky and not have some enemies spawn in these locations, but expect them to spawn anyway. So you can tell that they've spawned in if you see the alcoves that they're coming in from have been lit up. So we didn't get any enemies on the right there. There was those two enemies there, usually an enemy over here, and on the left there. And then you want to go left the second opportunity that you have. Try not to focus much through that little corridor, because otherwise you might accidentally trigger a wall run, and that enters bullet time, and that slows down your movement in real time. So, yeah. Speaking of running faster versus not running actually faster, meet Agent Jackson, and the tip, run faster. Let's see what that says. Hold down focus while running. You can run faster than normal, and time seems to slow down. This is very useful for getting yourself out of tight situations. That is true, but for speedrunning purposes, on easy mode, typically, you kind of don't want to do that if you can help it. And if you do need to, like, get yourself out of a tight situation, you're usually better off just doing focus pumping, which is where you just tap the focus key for a very brief fraction of a second, and then you won't lose, like, much, if any, time. Like, you're talking, like, very, very, very tiny fractions of a second if you do it correctly. I also personally tend to, like, hug the walls a little bit, but you kind of don't need to do that if you don't want to. If you're not comfortable with it, it may only just slow you down a little bit, but either way, just make sure that you're going where you need to go, I guess. So, hangars. A couple of things to talk about here.
What's those tanks?
Don't need to worry about these guys. Once you get past there, they pretty much despawn. And then after a little bit, your health will start to regen, so you don't need to worry too much about it. At least not there. And then, thankfully, because this is easy, you can take the obvious route that Sparks is talking about right there on the IM panel thingy in your little HUD. And then you basically, you want to try and, there are ways to, like, optimize that. I don't really worry about it too much, though. There are much bigger fish to fry in this run. And then here, this is a bit tricky, what I like to do. I've just simply gotten used to the spacing for it, but if you're not careful, you can just immediately fall to your death, or if you, like, jump too early, like, say from here. Even that actually was fairly lenient. Let me see if I can just go back through this door. Okay, good. Okay, good. We're just coming through there, and then, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just used to doing it that way. So instead of going into the plane like you're, quote, intended to do, end quote, you can just drop off the wing there. You can also do a little bit of focus pumping here if you're not too comfortable with the amount of damage that you're taking to temporarily disengage their targeting. That's going to be a necessary thing in later spots, like in Waterway 2, yeah, there's a Waterway 2. And yeah, there's a lot of enemies that'll be shooting you there. You'll definitely want to be doing a lot of focus pumping there. But yeah, that was hangars. I guess there really wasn't all that much to talk about, but sometimes the snipers can actually be on point, and they'll actually, like, chunk you to, like, 60% by the time you get to where you're no longer having to deal with them. And then it's, yeah, you definitely want to be focus pumping there, because the rest of the guys can bring you down to, like, 20% without the snipers. So yeah, you probably do want to just keep an eye on your health at the end of, at the, like, last stretch of that level. The bells, so what you're intended to do is you're supposed to, there's a guy over here with a sniper rifle, and then the sniper rifles in this level will give you, like, an infrared scope, but you kind of don't actually need it. You can instead just run through it, even though it's, like, as dark as it is. You can, and if it's, like, actually still too dark, you can actually just maybe adjust your monitor's brightness to compensate for this a little bit. Or maybe even your game brightness. But yeah, you can just run through that entire hallway, and then you'll be good to go. So there is a skip that you can do here that I won't be touching on. Called Vector Skip. It involves grabbing the stun grenades in the belts, like immediately to the right, just after you've climbed those first bit of stairs. And then if you're feeling like especially cheeky, something else you can do is what I refer to as vector skip, and that basically just skips the little cutscene where Vector is, yeah, that little cutscene. Yeah, the way I did that was I just did a high jump around, like, the cutscene trigger is basically, like, right at the end of this railing here. So, oh. Yeah, you just want to, like, curve yourself around it if you wanted to go for vector skip. Thursday's guide has touches on regular vector skip if you want to try and learn that one. It's kind of rough and, in my opinion, not really worth going for most of the time. It would be better for, like, a TAS, definitely. But, yeah, not really the most viable thing for an RTA setting, if you ask me. But it's something that you can do if you want. I think I do have a PB where I went for it. But, yeah. Oh, agent on board. Oh, right. So you definitely want to be, like, aware of the fact that you might be right about to die as the level finishes when you're completing Catch a Plane. So let me just run that back for you. Okay, you run past Vector there, and then, yeah, you want to do a jump and then extend it with focus, so that way you typically avoid having that happen, usually, but just be aware of the fact that you can sometimes end up being at 1% health by the time you enter this level. I like to instant kill these guys by doing a throw with the gun out. It can lead to some really funky little clipping there, but it doesn't actually do any, like, actual position changes, because I guess the boxes kind of function like SM64 walls, or they just push you out. The wall hitboxes or whatever. So there are a couple things that you can do here for Agent on Board, in the Agent specifically. I kind of whiffed that kick, because I haven't been doing that for a minute. It's something I used to do and used to be pretty consistent with, but I've kind of stopped doing it because it's like, it's not exactly the safest option to go for, admittedly, so. Yeah, you just want to take care of those 3 guards there and then get the parachutes. And then once you have them, you go back to Axel. And then you can kind of focus pump or just focus run past the agent and then hit the button. And you want to be running basically right here until the door's about there. At which point you want to, like, take a step back and then do a flying side kick and knock him down. And then follow it up with a kick while he's on the ground. And then you'll encounter that bit of forced turbulence. Now, I have had it happen where the agent will just immediately he just decided to start running, and he ran himself off of the plane. I've only ever had that happen once, and I've done at least a few hundred attempts that made it this far so far. But it's just between, like, Niobe and Niobe all levels, I think. I want to say, or like times in practice or whatever. It's probably not really ever going to happen for you, but it can happen. Okay, and then... Okay, I got lost in the sauce a bit there, so we're gonna just run that back one more time and show you, and so I can show you what you're typically supposed to do. But, it's also a good idea to, like, know how to do, like, the, I guess I'll show it on these guys. So you can do this really cool double uppercut and then follow it up with a side kick. And the way you do that is to hold, move yourself away from the enemies, basically. But yeah, that is one way that you can, you know, like, that's a backup option, basically. It works. You don't want to do that on those guys, though, because that's objectively slower. But yeah, you hit the button to open the door. Agent will just be punching you in the back of the head a few times. Don't pay that any mind. And then you want to kick him when he's down, kick him when they're up, kick him when they're down. Not a good song reference, actually. But yeah, you basically want to just rinse and repeat that. But if for any reason, let's go ahead and SD here. Oh, never mind. I wanted to run that back one more time. Should have SD'd sooner, but oh well. Okay, that's fine though. Yeah. One more time, agent on board. I want to show you, like, the thing you can do if you mess up that fast cycle, basically. But yeah, I like going for those instant kills because if you're not careful and you're like trying to like you basically start blasting when you're facing this way with your gun, there is a chance that one of your bullets could actually go over and kill Axel, and then you'll need to restart the level. It's embarrassing, but that is something that can happen if you're really unlucky. So I just try not to go for it anymore. So let's see, missed the kick. Let's just go for the double uppercut instead. And then something else I just did there was I actually exited the close quarters combat camera angle by hitting, I guess in my case it would be the 4 key. But that's basically just the zoom out key. I think the zoom in would also work as well, possibly, but anyway, it's neither here nor there. Something else you can do is actually, instead of doing the double uppercut, which does take a little bit more time, and with Niobe you can instead just hold upward. So basically, when you're in that close quarters combat stance, or like, yeah, I guess when you're in that CQC stance, it kind of becomes a sort of 2D fighter, in a way, or like in a way. It kind of becomes like Tekken, I guess, where, yeah, if you just hold up, you can do an uppercut much faster-ish, and then you can also follow that up with a kick. But, yeah, the close quarters combat is actually kind of interesting, to be honest. I went into this game not having the, years of experience, because I only, like, picked this game up, like, very late last year, or very early this year. And then I also only started speedrunning it this year. So that's, like, I'm still learning new things about the, like, core mechanics, I guess, of the game. But, yeah. I find the melee combat to be actually pretty interesting, all things considered. But, yeah. At best, it's very easy to die at the very beginning here because of this platform. And, yeah, it's really awkward here, but if you die there immediately, that does happen to me still. I get it. It's a very tricky, like, initial bit of movement that you need to do. Okay, hold on a second. I will actually be back in just a tick. Okay, I'm sorry about that. My cat was making noises in the other room and I had to go check on her, make sure she was doing okay. So, something I like to do here is hug the wall. And then, like, it's basically, like, kind of, when you get mostly close to that lamp right there, you can just hold to the left. You can tell when you're not close enough if you just do a run jump to the side. But instead, if you're actually close enough, you'll actually just kind of turn left and grab the ledge. So, that's something that you can do, save a little bit of time. Do an extended, just do a focus long jump there and then pull out your gun while you're still in the air. You want to make sure that he A, drops a sniper rifle, and B, that you grab it. And then there is a bit of movement that you can do here, like you can jump on the railing and then do a focus jump onto the ladder and then save a little bit of time, but that is very tricky, and I definitely have had some instances where it comes back to bite me like rather quickly. And then Ballard also can just sometimes pretty quickly defend himself, but other times the snipers can actually shred him, so there's definitely a degree of luck there. So you can just take the intended route here, where you go like this way, and then down the ladder, and then you just backwards a little bit. Go backwards a little bit and then turn yourself to the left, or if you're on like PC or you're really comfortable with the positioning of it, I'm personally not, so I don't go for this on console, for example, but you can just do what is referred to as sewer skip, and just drop down while you're like, you use that like support pillar, or that that bit of wall, bit that's jutting out of the wall, as a sort of indicator as to where you need to be. Yeah, if you're not careful with that though, it is an instant death because you have fallen too far. Okay, so
Why the hell do they have us?
Fun little thing I didn't really get to touch on in that last bit of Abyss because kind of touching on the focus and the aimbot thing. You can do that for all but the last of the snipers there. You want to get the SS shotgun ready here, and then, yeah, throw a grenade at the fan to blow it up. Now this is pumped half skip that I'm about to try and do. I say try and do because I'm still not exactly the most consistent at it, I have to admit. Sometimes my grenade throws are just really bad, and sometimes my jump timing is also really bad. So that was not something I wanted to have happen, but sometimes you just gotta live with it in the moment. If that happens, just go up that ladder. Ooh, ooh, wow, 2 for... Dang, didn't know I could do that. Alright, and then... I think... Nope, we didn't get enough height. And that's a problem. Okay, so that's typically what happens for me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna even sugarcoat it. That is just usually my experience with pumped half skip lately. But what I like to try to do is use the floor as a sort of indicator where I need to be. That was a very unlucky grenade throw there. Another unlucky grenade throw. Let's try from here. Even more unlucky. Yeah. So we're just gonna choke to death on the steam. If the game will let me do that. There we go. drink some water. Remember to hydrate, dear viewer. But, yeah. The reason it's called pumped half skip is because it skips half the level. But yeah, what I try to do is shoot that one guy without destroying the barrel. Okay, there I was too close to the explosion, so I got just knocked straight up, and then it would, you know what? I'm gonna just let the steam do that so we can reset. Trust me, this is, it may not be the hardest, it probably might, I'm not sure, like, on difficulty of this trick, but I know it's personally one of my hardest ones to pull off. So it's a really good day if I can get pumped half skip at all. In a timely manner, anyway. But, lately what I've been doing, actually, is standing, like, right in the middle-ish. Really unlucky. Chill out, jeez. Okay, so what I've been trying to do, I guess, is like right around here on this tile. Didn't get the forward momentum at all. Yeah, you need basically over like 65% health in order to survive this jump. But, yeah. I guess it is just maybe possibly just that tile. And I've been really obstinate about it. And just not sticking to a singular tile and just trying to adjust how I feel on the fly. I don't know. But, it is definitely, in my opinion, one of the harder tricks in the game. Ooh, we got wonderful height there, actually. Goodness me. That's a lot of height. So you kind of want to turn and face the, So actually, I should show it off, now that I think about it, but, let's pull out the sniper and I can... Niobe, pull out the sniper. Thank you. So, right about there is where the top of the invisible wall is. So you'll know if you have enough height if you're, like, making it, like, up to there, or just want to make sure that you get enough height to be over that line, because that's where the invisible wall ends. And then, if you're at really low health, do not take this right path, because, this little part does damage you. So you can just instantly die if you're at really, really low health and you go this way. Just be aware of that. It doesn't happen if you go over here. The left path, just past the barrel. That is definitely something to be aware of. But, yeah. That's pumped half skip. And then here, you want to jump onto... Well, ideally you could just jump onto that first bit and then jump again, hook to the... or slice. I don't know, I don't play golf. To the right. And then, yeah, you can just trigger that cutscene and all that stuff. I had intended to pull out the, to jump and then pull out the shotgun, but that didn't quite work out the way I intended. Something I also like to do is I like to pull out the gun like right before I climb up these ledges, and then enter first person mode to destroy those braces or whatever they are. Support thingies, and then jump up onto the vents, and then don't run into it. Wait for the thing to actually get blown apart by the flying debris. And then you can just typically just jump past those two guys. With Ghost, he is a little bit wider, so you do need to kind of be a little bit more forceful about it sometimes. There are two SWAT guys over here. They die pretty quickly, though, thankfully. Then you want to hop off the thing, the catwalk, and then grab the gun with the light. And then what you can do as Niobe actually here, unless you're like really unlucky, like I was just there. Let's put that weapon away, and then, yeah. Sometimes they can actually just knock you off the ladder. I'm gonna go ahead and reset this level, because that was not a very good showing at all. And even something I've been doing as Niobe, to be honest, is killing the first two guys with the SS shotgun. In order to avoid getting bothered by them. Because the guy on the right really doesn't run up to you and try to knock you off the ladder like the other two guys do.
See the suspect down there.
You want to back off because that grenade will hurt you. Yeah, I mean, oh gosh, yeah. And then they obviously will. They can obviously also definitely chunk you sometimes as well. It's not a very pretty sight. Oh, I was hoping that would actually be a lethal height to fall from, so I could instantly reset, but okay. Okay, well, we'll just show you what I do with Ghost, but as Niobe here. Yeah, sometimes they can just say no and not let you through. It's annoying sometimes, but you make do. Oh, right, and I didn't even touch on what I do here. So you want to do a focus long jump there, and then just slowly inch your way backwards. So that way you're not taking lethal fall damage.
See the suspect down there. Get him out of there.
Okay, and then once they've gotten onto the ground, that is when I start blasting them with the SS shotgun. And then those two guys are pretty annoying. And while you can get through all of these levels, or like these areas, without having the gun out, the game literally will not let you progress without it, unfortunately. You just need to have it, I guess. It's a checkpoint that the game just doesn't work without. So there's a little trick that you can do here. Basically, as soon as you turn that corner, chuck your grenade, and then you stand like on top of this ledge here, and then that should like make Worm get out faster. You actually kind of want to throw that grenade just a little bit later than I did there, just a tiny little bit later, but yeah. Here is where I begin the focus pumping ventures. You can also just jump down into the trench and you'll usually be kind of okay. You can also do some like other stuff to avoid damage, but usually running and focus pumping will just get the job done just as fine. And it'll take less time as well. And then here, you actually want to jump a little bit early and do a focus long jump there, so you can avoid the slower, like, forced slow dive animation that you would normally have to sit through. And then you just follow this route that I'm taking here. And then you want to take a left over here. And then be ready to do another focus long jump there. Carefully get yourself onto the ladder and then press your jump button to descend it faster. Do another focus long jump here. You want to hook yourself to the left. So that you can skip the really slow, like, line climbing, or, like, thing that the game kind of intended you to do. Intends for you to do, but, yeah. Oh wait, that was waterway. Oops, this is now breathing room. So, again, that's a little bit of an oopsie daisy. I'm trying, I swear I'm trying. So something that I think Thursday recommends, and probably other people as well, but something I've been kind of not doing actually, is because I've actually been using the explosion knockback to push myself back just a little bit. I think it saves a little bit more time, but oh gosh, there we go. Yeah, these areas are dark, so if you do need to pull out the flashlight just to get your bearings, there's no shame in that, trust me. But yeah, there's just a whole lot of running and focus pumping through this area. Usually those two guys on the right will, I try not to focus run there if I can help it. That seems to, like, prompt the right and middle guy to, actually kind of break formation a little bit. And then the guy on the left will just kind of just be standing there and create a little gap for you to, thread the proverbial needle through. You can do a regular jump here, but here you need to do at least a focus long jump, which you can just do by, you know, pumping focus midair after you jump. Here, what I've taken to doing is just doing focus jumps to, you know, disengage the enemy's targeting. Hopefully you don't get the bad luck that I had and, you know, belly flop onto the ledge of the manhole there, but yeah. On harder difficulties, that would be a death sentence, but on easy, you don't need to worry about it. Okay, so something I probably should mention that I just did there is the fact that A, you don't want to be running forward immediately and at the start of this level. You want to make sure that you run onto the little bridge there. And then it's also not a bad idea to, if you are not comfortable with this at first. I should talk about health regen now, because this is actually like the first big point where it matters for me. That's basically what I'm trying to do, and I'm just distracting myself. I'm sorry. Hope y'all don't mind this, but yeah, you go across this bridge, you do an focus long jump here, or you just extend your long jump with focus pumping. And then something else I like to do there, because okay, health regen. Again, I am very sorry. I am very sorry. But this is something I definitely need to get out. So you regen health so long as you're not going through a landing animation, or you're not taking damage, obviously. And also when you're not doing a big an actual focus jump, as in, like, not one that you're extending with a regular jump that you're extending with focus, but you get the Trinity or the Morpheus Morpheus-esque looking jump that Niobe and he goes through, respectively. And then you can also extend the amount of time that you get, like, as if you're regenerating health midair with just a regular jump like that, you can extend the amount of time that you get with regen health by pumping focus a little bit, or just simply holding focus down. And then, yeah, that's something I like to do to make sure I have as much health as I can before running through this pretty deadly corridor. Even on easy, it can definitely mess you up pretty easily. There's a cutscene there. Make sure to skip it. Jump, and then while in midair, pull out your gun. SS shotgun or the entry shotgun will both work here. I prefer the SS shotgun. I don't know why. I just think it's SS tier. Ha ha ha. And then you want to kill the 2 snipers there. And then, actually, that's the reason I prefer the SS shotgun, is because it is just 1 mouse wheel up. At least that's what I have it found as. Wheel up. Yeah, the next weapon. I guess you can just press the 1 key or whatever your key bindings are for the next weapon, as opposed to previous weapon might be. I promise I'm okay. Oh. Cheeky little aimbotting there. And then here you just want to take out these guys. Everybody here spawns in from rather consistently, so you want to go from right to left. There's going to be 2 guys on the left. You can release focus for a little bit there. Release focus, not spend anywhere near as much time in bullet time. Let them move a little bit more in range of your actual line of fire. And then, yeah. It definitely takes a little bit to get used to, especially if you're trying to do it fast, but I don't know, maybe that won't take that long if you're already used to the game. And sniping in particular, but anywho's. But yeah, that's basically how the sniping section for Malachi and Bane 2 is roughly supposed to go. But, yeah. You have a couple of cutscenes here. A couple of 3 cutscenes. So, I don't know why, but, wait a minute. Is it? No, this isn't where I'm thinking of. Never mind. For some reason I thought that in, this level there was, like, a random health pack, and I was like, but you don't take any damage here. But I was, quite wrong about that. And then, yeah. I think the Great Hall is literally just the film cutscene in the hallway. Or maybe it's the, actual Great Hall cutscene in-game. Either way. Doesn't matter. Once you're in the attic, you want to do a regular 3-punch combo, like a neutral, like you're not holding any directions with your punches. Ideally, what would happen is, see if I can do it this time. I didn't get all 3 to connect, unfortunately. One, 2, 3, there we go. And now he's dead. That's what's supposed to happen there. And then here's Vlad. Feel free to mix up your combos a little bit as well with Vlad. I like to go for leg sweeps a lot. Seems to help. Oh, he is just blocking me, I guess. Oh, he's gonna do a thingy. Yep. Yeah, sometimes these bosses can take a little bit longer. Like, they just decide, no, I'm gonna block your hits for no reason. Even though they really oughtn't be doing that. And then, this is a good example, actually, of something that can happen. This maybe typically won't happen for you all that often, but you can get unlucky with cutscene RNG right here. As in, it takes a little bit longer for this cutscene to actually trigger. And it's annoying, trust me. I've had it happen too many times myself. I have some pretty bad luck, but that's me. Hopefully it's not you.
What's that noise?
You just want to run past these guys. They shouldn't pose much of a threat to you.
Here.
And, yeah, that's the attic. Now, Persephone's bedroom. It's a good idea to, like, get yourself acquainted with the, melee combat. Also, you want to make sure that you kind of prioritize the weapon on the right, because that is the crossbow. And you want to be, having the crossbow out already.
I admire your pointed spirit.
That was a really quick fight with Vlad here, actually. But, yeah, there's, like... I guess you kind of want to do it kind of how I just did it. Like, the most ideal scenario is you actually manage to get Vlad up against the wall, but you're also facing said wall, so you can just kind of infinitely combo him, and he's mostly helpless to do anything.
Ah, I find you in Persephone's bedroom.
I also like to jump kick that first guy, or the second guy. Ideally, the first guy you kill with a crossbow, but sometimes the crossbow can just miss. It's really annoying when it does. Using the wall focus kicks as well can be pretty helpful. Yeah, there is some degree of luck to be had here in this fight. But yeah, just basically do whatever you can as fast as you can. That's about all the best guidance I can give for that fight. I do, unfortunately, kind of struggle with it a little bit in terms of doing it fast as possible at the very least, but yeah. I don't have that fight down quite as well as I have the Cujo fight later on down. So, here you want to make sure that you get rid of the crossbow. You don't need... I don't think you need to wait for it to actually disappear on you, but you do want to get rid of it, at least drop it, before you enter the Merovingian's office proper. That way you have a much higher chance of getting two crossbow bolts, rather. So that way you can just instantly kill the, that vamp that's, who's tied to that door opening right there. And then here it's very simple, just run right past these guys, and then you also want to, you know, and just make sure you just slice a little bit to the right when you enter the Great Hall again, and then go into Persephone's, Persephone's room. And then something else that you don't need, maybe not need to do, but something I like to do personally, is enter first person and then adjust the camera to where, so that I'm like actually facing the direction I'm intending to go after the killing animations of those guys. So the Cujo fight is one that I've spent a fair bit of time on in practice. But the premise behind it is that he's not going to take the fight as seriously at first. So you can actually just... What you want to do, actually, is damage him without using focus attacks for the most part. And then you want to, like, kind of chunk his health down to, like, half. And then you actually want to enter focus. And then you want to do forward-directed focus kick combos. And then you kind of, if you do it with a rhythm like this, you end up actually just stun locking him. Don't try to, like, do it too fast, actually. Because, sometimes, if you, like, let me try and show you, like, what happens if you try to, like, go for greedy speed, as I kind of refer to it. Oh, wrong direction, silly. There we go. So yeah, neutral triple punch. Turn the camera around. There we go. Do the same with this vamp. And then turn the camera around yet again. We're facing the entryway. I was a little too close to the wall. Pay that no mind. Yeah, you basically, again, just want to chunk his health down as best as you can. Mix up your combos as well. Okay, we are now at the point where we need to be in focus. That was a little bit of a whiff, the kicks, but that's okay. As long as you are able to securely reconnect the hits, then you're good to go. So yeah, don't do what I just did there and release focus if you can help it, because there is there's a decent chance that he'll actually break out of your attacks if you do that. I'm not sure why. It could be something similar to, say, Kingdom Hearts 2's revenge value system. But, I don't know, I could also just be looking for something that's not actually there, but you typically want to just hold down focus and then go for those, like, forward-directed kicks. And I say forward-directed as in, like, towards Cujo. You want to make sure that you're, yeah, you're getting, like, those directed kicks while in focus. And then you should be pretty much... Most of the time, you'll have pretty good, easy one cycles on Cujo. At least in my experience, that's what I do. Just seems to work. Hopefully it does for you as well. You don't need to reposition your camera angle when getting Ghost there, but that's something I like to do. I also like to flying sidekicks, Cain and Abel here, to knock them down, and then there we go. Yeah, the Cain and Abel can be a little bit annoying, and I guess it's more like the prisoners can be a little bit annoying and not actually grabbing them, but yeah, you just want to knock them down in front of the prisoners. And then I guess you can probably just stand in front of them to make sure that they don't get to move or shimmy too far forward, and then the prisoners can actually grab the two guys. But, yeah.
Can you hear me?
This level is annoying with the 1.2 patch, trust me. You just want to do, like, very, very quick little taps of left and right, if you can help it. Also, sometimes you might find invisible cars. Trust me, they are things. You can just, yeah, it's annoying. Just try and do micro adjustments of your the direction that you're facing if you can help it. Sometimes it's unavoidable. Also, like, you kind of do want to like take your finger off of the W key so to make those micro adjustments, quote unquote micro adjustments. But that is a very rough level to get used to, trust me. I probably just made it look really easy, especially for playing on the 1.2 patch, but it is, it's definitely one of the trickier driving levels in the run. So, if it takes you a little bit the first time, and even after the first time, there's no shame, trust me. It is a rough level to do. And for that matter, so is the freeway sometimes, but not quite the first section, usually. You don't technically need to destroy this first cop car, but I kind of try to, because they can get annoying otherwise. And then once you're at the point where the agent is following you, you really just don't want to lose your speed if you can help it. You also don't want to look back at them, because so long as you're like ahead of them by a good decent amount and you're not looking at them, they're not actually going to be shooting at you. So you're not going to be taking any car damage. Just little things to be aware of. But yeah, you kind of don't really need to worry about the agents too much. Yeah, you see him like doing quick taps of the what is that? The A and D keys to do the turns. There's going to be the cutscene there. After that, you no longer have the agents following you, but you do have some cop cars ahead of you, and you'll most likely be driving past them after a little bit. Oh. No, we don't want to be skiing here. You can ignore those cops, though. Once you're at this part, though, the driving gets really, 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 really fast on this patch for some reason. And it gets really chaotic. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. It just gets chaotic. You'll see. I'll even let Sparks say something. So you kind of don't want to be hitting the gas immediately after the cutscene. It tends to make you literally crash out. More than it does help. Just because of how chaotic it can be. Also, again, don't be afraid to take your finger off your W key as well. To minimize the drasticness. The drasticity, is that even a word, of the accidents that you will most likely incur. You will have happen to you on the freeway there. It is just very hectic with the 1.2 patch, but if you're just playing the game on like retail or on console, then it's a lot more, I'd say, comfortable, but that's just my own opinion. It's much more leisurely, and then, yeah, again, the whole premise of those levels is you don't want to be losing forward momentum if you can help it. I mean, duh, that's like the whole speedrun, but the driving especially in like obviously on the freeway there, because I think you do have a time limit on the truck. You don't have a time limit on the rest of the freeway, thankfully, and it's only like as soon as you reach a certain point, it's like when Spark says Morpheus is on the semi and the truck actually starts moving, is when the like time sensitivity starts kicking in. And also sometimes that can happen, where like you're holding down, you know, forward, and then you're not actually ever actually running. And yeah, you just want to reset your movement a little bit. Just pause and then start running again. Usually that only happens if you enter like the pause menu while you're running, or like before you actually get full run speed again. You want to do a focus jump here, a focus high jump, I guess. Focus pump up the ladder for safety. And then depending on how accurate the enemies are despite that, you can also just opt not to go for a little bit more time save and just climb the, I guess the fencing here. And then here, you're intended to wait for Ghost to disable the lights, but instead, actually, you can just do focus jumping there. And then something else I like to do, because I'm used to that little section there. Let me like show you what happens if you don't do that. Niobe. Oh, the light was disabled. Okay, well we'll just reset by dying. Okay, so let me show you what you'd pretty much do if you're not going for the like micro optimizations that I do. On that particular light skip there. But yeah, the whole idea is basically you want to skip waiting for Ghost to disable the light to be able to like progress, as the game would suggest. Again, there are enemies like kind of around every corner, but you'll get used to. After a while, you like get an idea of where all the enemies are. But there's like 2 enemies behind the pillars up front, and then there's 2 at the end. Okay, so you want to just be holding focus and then spamming jumps to make sure that you're to minimize the chances of that sniper actually one-shotting you, because in that instance in particular, that is something that can happen. So once you're at this point, you want to jump onto this pillar here, and then jump right onto this wall, and then jump onto this wall, or path, or whatever. I guess it is basically a big old concrete wall. And then it's pretty easy to get lost in here, but after a while you do kind of just memorize your way. You can just run past these guys. I like to focus jump onto the ladder here and then do focus bumping to, you know, again, for safety. And then you should be fine to just run through here without much of a care in the world. Real good Stormtrooper aim, guys. You guys would go great in the, you guys would fit in great with the Empire. And then, once you're like, okay, yeah. So, the intended route here, the intended thing to do here is to go around this, like, these 2 mazes, but you can just skip all that by doing what I've been showing off here. And then, actually I'll go ahead and let these guys beat me down, so I can kind of give you a bit more time to like show off what you're actually looking to jump onto. Oop, accidental wall run moment. Ouchie. Yeah, those guys can really really hurt you if you're really unlucky. And again, that's why we do focus pumping up that ladder. Okay, so you want to go like straight, and then once you see this ledge right over here, that's the one that you want to jump onto, the one with the wooden ramp. The wooden bridge, the ramp, or whatever. And then that's the reactor foundation levels. And then here you want to go to the right as Niobe. With Ghost, you'll want to go forward, but we'll touch on that when that time comes. Shouldn't need to worry too much about the sniper or the rest of those guys. It's really once you get into this room that you kind of want to begin focus pumping again. And then, yeah. Hopefully you'll get there, the door will still be open, or will just be opened by the time you get to it. You might want to stop pumping focus for a little bit to let that happen. But, yeah. That's basically how that should go. Oh, also, something I should point out now that I'm thinking about it is I run this game in a window. And it's actually, thankfully, pretty easy to do that. So, let's see here. Oh, goodness. Open file location. Yeah, in your install directory, there was a config file called matrixconfig.ini, and in that is let's see here, resolution, gamma, brightness, full screen equals, yeah, you want to make sure that's set to 0, and then I also like the third resolution because I think that just gives the most readable text in windowed mode. Personally, but yeah, I don't know how the how this point works if not running in a window, because I've always ran the game in a window in order to like actually get OES to capture it, and because also the game, if you run it in full screen, something that can usually happen a lot is if you like alt tab for any reason, and you kind of will need to, I think. Then again, I don't know, because I've only ever ran this game in a window. But there's going to be like a fatal error message for me that I'm going to need to dismiss in just a little bit. A quote fatal end quote message. Just want to run up to here, and then once you skip this cutscene is when it happens. It says fatal, invalid trigger index 1 in parentheses, in section logos interior new sect, in parentheses, which only has 1 triggers. I don't know what the heck that's supposed to mean. What the significance of that fatal message is, but I just hit spacebar once with Niobe here, and then yeah. Be very cautious about that, I guess. It's something to be aware of. That's just something that happens for me. I'm not sure if it happens for anybody else. But that's happened with both versions that I've tried running, DVD and CD. So this is Transformer Field 2, and the weapon that you just got that liquefies liquefies lungs is good crowd control weapon, honestly. But you kind of don't want to ever fire it in focus, because if that makes the shot much more direct, and then sometimes that usually ends up meaning that you're much closer to the blast radius, and so you'll end up liquefying your own lungs in the process, and that's not healthy. Ow. We're fine. So yeah, this level is definitely really rough, and I'm probably making it look incredibly easy right now. But trust me, this is just after months and months of practice. There's basically enemies around nearly every corner. And I guess I should try and slow it down because this is a guide and this is intended to be for, you know, people just maybe who've never actually played the game before and are just seeing the run and like, oh, I could do this. But yeah, you want to... Sometimes, when you're just coming from Transformer Field 1, the enemies from behind this door can still be there and they can actually, like, still kill you if you're, like, really unlucky. But, yeah, you want to take the launcher out here, kill these first two guys with it. Make sure you don't use focus in the process. Run past these guys. Run past these two guys. There's enemies here and here. There's an enemy there. Again, there's no shame in taking this area a little bit more slowly, especially if it's like your first time running the game. So yeah, again, I didn't use focus there, so the shot ended up being like right over here-ish. And yeah, I didn't take a whole bunch of lung liquefying damage from it. More enemies there. You can kind of like go along this wall here, or this railing for some safety. There's going to be an enemy here, an enemy there, and then another like right to the left there. Two enemies here. And then this is going to be a pretty dangerous little section here. So you want to kind of have the launcher ready to dispatch those guys. Unfortunately, I didn't get the guy with the SS shotgun, but that's okay, because he didn't really get to shoot me all that much anyway. This one also has an SS shotgun, which you can use. Oh wow, I actually picked up more SS shotguns than I thought. That's at least 3. Or, no, that's 2 actually. But, yeah. You probably also maybe want to kill, like, these last 2 guys, or just, like, knock them down, and the SS shotgun is really helpful with that. You basically just want to have as much health going into the generator turbines levels as, you know, as much health as possible, because at the very beginning, you have this bit to deal with. And it's, if you don't have enough health to tank enough damage there, it can definitely kill you. The sniper and the guys in that room can definitely shred through your health really, really quickly. So the sniper was actually kind of on point there, so he like did manage to hit me with a pretty good shot there. But yeah, that's just something to be aware of in that section in particular. There's a cutscene there. And then this part is really rough to deal with, but what I like to do is I like to start focus pumping after that first like turn here, and then I also take these little trenches to kind of maybe allow my health to regen maybe just a little bit, or even just like kind of let the enemies like take its... I'm not in their sight, basically. So it kind of like makes them actually hitting me a little bit harder. To accomplish. After the second door, you want to do a focus jump there. Now, something that you can do, but is kind of dangerous, well, maybe not dangerous if you do it in a focus jump, is to jump onto the railing there, and then just kind of do that. Or, you know, you can also just do it in a much safer way, which is just to go around the path and do one focus jump there, and then do another focus jump onto the top of that ladder there. And then something that's kind of tricky to do is jumping up over there. You want to do a focus jump here and onto that ladder there. Focus jump, or if you focus pump as you're climbing said ladder, so you're not getting shredded by those guys with their, or at least the guy with the entry level, or the entry shotgun. Do a focus jump there to this door. Do a couple of hops up that ramp. And then here, you kind of want to jump there. Maybe not quite there, you want to jump a little bit later than that, but here you want to just jump there to the left and then hook to the right, or slice to the right. I don't know, again. Why am I trying to use golf terminology when I don't play golf? I don't know, but yeah. So this level normally involves, you know, going around this whole long as butt section, but instead what you can do, and what I recommend doing and like trying to get used to, is I like to jump onto the railing here. Oh gosh, that's not what that's not what I mean by what I'm trying to that's not what I'm trying to show off there. Yeah, you jump onto the railing and then immediately do a focus jump, and then if you do it right, you can just land on here. And that skips like basically the entire level, which is a long section of running, and then there's also a really, really, really tall ladder that you need to climb. I think it's the tallest ladder in the entire game. So if you can just skip all that, definitely try and go for that. That's yeah. And this is Agent Escape. You want to just go a little bit to the left at the start of this. Forward and just a little bit to the left. Go into that air duct. Do not jump onto this elevator, by the way. You can actually end up soft-locking yourself. And then you don't even need to pump focus when running through here. Okay. Now, if you're doing just like Niobe or Ghost, the Niobe or Ghost categories, you would lose to Seraph here. But if you're actually doing all levels, you would obviously need to beat him. Sometimes he can also just block you for days, and it's annoying, but, you know, there is some degree of luck with fighting Seraph there, but, yeah. If you wanted to lose to Seraph, and I'll actually go ahead and show that off now. The way you do that quickly is just to, run up to that wall, and then yeah, ideally he'll just do combos against you instead of just like single punching or single kicking you. But yeah, since I'm doing all levels, I want to not lose to him, so we're just gonna go back to the skyscraper. So you want to turn around and go right here, jump over those planks, those boards, I guess. And then what you can do here actually is just do a flying side kick through the window. You can also jump, but that induces a force dive animation, which is slow. Oh gosh. Well, thank you, Smith. That was really kind of you. And then something tricky that you can do here, you want to make sure that you're not touching the scaffolding ever while you're trying to do these shortcuts, because that will just completely kill your forward momentum. Otherwise, you can just take, let me show you the not shortcut path, in case you're not comfortable with doing that, because trust me, like on console especially, it is rough. Or at least I find it rough on console. Maybe you might not. But, yeah. Here, I'll just show you what I mean here. See, yeah, it's much slower. And then, yeah, the non-shortcut methods. just go down here. Right about here, and then you can also just take a little bit of a shortcut there. Go over here. So yeah, you can see just about how much time those shortcuts that I did save, but they're also pretty dangerous to go for sometimes if you know, you're not careful about the scaffolding. But yeah, the scaffolding is lava when you're doing those shortcuts that I was doing, so be aware of that. Wait for Smith to actually get into the room proper before you start moving forward. You want to turn around as quickly as you can there. A couple of really sharp turns here. You want to do a jump off of that set of stairs. And then just follow the intended route for this level. Oh, wait. There we go. Actually, I think I'll go ahead and divide the Ghost and Niobe levels into different videos this time, because I am rather thirsty, and I do need to eat breakfast as well. So you can do a flying sidekick and kick him down, or just do a focus jump and knock him over that way. But that red door guy, the what's the hurry guy, he's gonna kind of be annoying usually, so you just want to knock him down in however you want to knock him down to get him out of your way. Now here on foot is a skip that I personally brought to the attention of the speedrun community. I don't know if anybody else knew about it, but it's one that I definitely found on my own. You can actually just, instead of going the intended route as the goal tracker would suggest, you would just go right past those two Agent Smiths, and then just kind of follow what I'm doing here. And then there's on foot, nice and easy. You want to drop down this little hole facing that direction. Maybe do a little bit of focus pumping going down this alleyway. Is this an alleyway? Street. Going down the street. That phone is going to explode. So is that truck. Maybe don't rush all the way up to it. Excuse me, fellas. Why'd you knock me down? That's a little skip that you can do. It's a bit safer, I would argue, but you do have a bit of a soft time limit because of the fact that the explosion is creating a field of periodic damage over time. Periodic? No, it's just damage over time. It will just be slowly draining your health down. So you want to definitely do that as fast as you can. Otherwise, you would just take the ladder, as the game would intend for you to do. Cut through the alley and hop the fence. Thank you, Sparks. You want to take it right there, and then go up left those stairs. After there, you want to turn right. Jump over that little stone wall there. And turn right once you're at this bridge. Go up these stairs, and then over here you're going to turn right, and then go up these next 3 sets of stairs. And then you're going to turn left here. then left again, and then there will be another set of stairs to your right. You want to do a focus jump here. Jump a little bit early there, so that way you can chain your last two jumps there. Saves a little bit more time, in my opinion. I say my opinion because I don't actually have any hard evidence to base it off of. Ergo, it's more opinion than it is fact. All I'm basing it on is how it feels. It feels faster. But, yep. Those are the Smith levels. And then this is the quote-unquote fun part if you are a masochist. Because flying the Logos is definitely one of the rougher parts of the run, or just the game. Because it's very disorienting. Not quite so in Tunnels of the Real, but much more so in the Rabbit Hole. Also, because I find the explosion effects kind of distracting, I've taken to, like, so long as you are, you know, following the path and everything as fast as you can, you typically don't even need to shoot the squiddies. At least in this section. Most of the time they'll just end up crashing into the walls and the piping in this area. Kind of taking care of themselves for you. But if they, like, do the thing where they, like, try to latch on to the Logos, then you would definitely want to start shooting, probably, because they're obstructing your view, and also they are damaging the ship and everything. And it's not quite this one, it's not this one, it's the next one that looks very similar to it. That's the end of this particular level, which I think is coming up right about here. Okay. And then this is where things start to get, like, really nausea-inducing, most likely. And just really hard to navigate through. You basically want to make sure that you're following the goal tracker as much as you can. Sometimes you will get stuck on the tunnels, though, and it's really annoying. Like, I personally, I haven't been stuck on the tunnels like that for a little bit, but that just shows how disorienting this level especially is. Oh my goodness. Basically, you want to try and, like, force yourself to go wherever you see the low view distance, low, you know, where you have less distance seen, I guess. So the low view distance actually is kind of helpful because you get the fogginess of, you know, what's in the distance. And that's a good indicator of, like, where you should be going. That isn't the goal tracker, because looking up at the top of the screen at all times is not really something I would advise. Unless you have, like, really good peripheral vision and, like, or, like, whatever you're not focusing on in your vision. I'm sure there's some word for it, some better way to describe it, but I need to be looking directly at where I'm going to feel confident in where I'm going. The good thing, though, about these levels is that all of these tunnels will, like, converge and, like, diverge and reconverge at different points, and it's kind of impossible to get lost as long as you're following the goal tracker. But, it's very, very rough to go through, especially, like, if you've not played the game before. You're not used to this level. It is definitely an experience and not a very pleasant one. Especially if you have the explosion effects, like, polluting your screen Okay, if you're going in that direction like I was just doing, that's not the direction you want to be going. Anyway. But yeah, if you've ever seen this section and you're like, I don't know about this, there's no shame in that, trust me. I literally just kind of power through it. In some ways I've gotten used to this level, but in other ways it's like, it still throws me off in so many different ways. And it's actually still really easy to get stuck on like the piping and stuff. So, yeah, it's just all in all very rough. And timing ends when you see the matrix code start to fall. But, yeah, there you go. That is, hopefully that was a pretty decent enough, comprehensive enough guide on the Niobe levels for Enter the Matrix. Let's see how long that took me in game time-wise. 107.11. That's honestly not bad, all things considered. But, yeah. Hopefully this guide was helpful, and if there are any questions, definitely feel free to ask me in the comments. I will also have a link to the speedrunning, the Matrix speedrunning Discord in the video description, and probably in a pinned comment, as well as the link to the speedrun.com page is. And then I will also try and get this guide and the Ghost Guide as well onto speedrun.com as well. But until the next video, thank you all for watching.